In 1819, Francisco de Goya, once the celebrated first-court painter of the Spanish crown, was an old man, his hair silvered, his body frail. Decades earlier, a mysterious illness had plunged his world into a profound silence, robbing him of his hearing. This isolation was more than physical. It was a deep psychological exile, cutting him off from the vibrant court life he once dominated. By this time, Goya was completely deaf. After retreating from public life, he purchased a modest country house on the outskirts of Madrid. The house was called the Quinta del Sordo, which means Villa of the Deaf Man. In a strange twist of fate, the name belonged to its previous owner, who was also deaf. But now it suited Goya perfectly, a chilling description of his new reality. Inside, the rooms were empty, lit only by the flicker of candlelight as Goya worked late into the night. His health was failing, and his mind was haunted. He was tormented by memories of the brutal Peninsular War and fearful of the repressive new monarchy. In this isolation, Goya began to cover the plaster walls of his home with strange, haunting images. He painted directly onto the surface, not for a patron or for the public, but for himself alone. Over time, he created 14 dark, brooding images, now known as the Black Paintings. These 14 murals were a private conversation with his fears, his despair, and his deepest, most pessimistic reflections on humanity, a raw diary of a mind that had seen too much. The collection is a gallery of nightmares, witches' sabbaths, grotesque pilgrimages, a dog drowning in sand. But among them, one, painted in his dining room, stands out as the most terrifying: Saturn devouring his son. The original Roman myth is chilling. The Titan Saturn was warned by a prophecy that one of his children would one day overthrow him. Terrified of losing his power, he devoured each one at birth. It's a classical tale of paranoia, often depicted with a degree of heroic grandeur. But in Goya's hands, the story becomes a vision of pure, primal horror. He casts aside all classical composure. His Saturn is a wild, monstrous figure emerging from an abyss, his eyes bulging with a deranged mix of fury and madness, as if horrified by his own inescapable compulsion. Notice the victim is not an infant, but a bloodied, headless adult form. The painting pulses with brutal energy, a frantic collision of mangled flesh, gnashing teeth and suffocating shadow, capturing the act at its most savage and immediate. What does it mean? Is it an allegory for Spain devouring its own in civil war, a father's primal fear of being replaced, or the terror of time itself, consuming all things? Goya, old and isolated, offers no answer. He simply leaves us with his private nightmare, a monstrous reflection that stares back from the darkness. Today, Saturn devouring his son hangs in the Prado Museum, together with Goya's other black paintings. Transferred from the plaster walls of his private villa, these works were never intended for an audience, making their power even more palpable. They remain just as capable of unsettling anyone who stands before them. In the dedicated gallery, visitors pause, transfixed by the raw, feral energy radiating from Saturn devouring his son. They observe the madness in Saturn's bulging eyes, a mix of terror and fury. His gnarled hands dig into the bloody, headless torso of his child, a visceral depiction of destruction frozen in oil and plaster. The surrounding darkness is not just an absence of light, it's an oppressive, suffocating presence. The painting forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the destructive nature of time, the fear of being overthrown, or the darkness lurking within humanity itself. Goya offers no easy answers. His enduring legacy is this very challenge, to gaze into the abyss he created and ask ourselves what we see reflected there. It's a timeless question about our own mortality. If you found this story intriguing, subscribe and leave a comment below. What do you see in Goya's Saturn?